I think the Cardinals are going to play well. I think the offense, and I say this every week, is going to figure it out. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be fortunate enough to see a kind of defensive performance last week. If we do, then hats off to Nick Roush. He really is a future head coach in this league. All right. Kick us off, my friend.
Let me put on my old man glasses then, and we'll talk about it. Okay. I was talking about this. We were all talking about this earlier. The Packers have allowed the 5th most explosive passing plays in the NFL this season, 16. They don't get home to the quarterback. We just talked about that as well, with half of their season total for sacks coming in one game against Tennessee and Johnny's hero, Will Levis, who really should pronounce his name Levi's because he's durable, but he may not be your fashion choice if you want that winning look. Add it all up and throw in that Mina Kimes call out, and I see a big game for MHJ. I think he's going to have some opportunities, even if they aren't the highest percentage. He's getting longer, potential yards on his receptions or targets than other guys. I think this is a big game for him. On defense, getting back to my hatred of the Packers, Dennis Gardeck grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, within a stone's throw of the Wisconsin border, but not quite on the chain of lakes, or he might have learned a different form of disrespect for the Packers that I shared with the PHNX Cardinals crew a little bit earlier. Shane, do you have that? Do you have that little video that I shared a little bit earlier?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me pull this up. It's pretty fantastic.
I'm gonna have you guys show this.
Be able to. Yeah, I don't know if this is allowed, but it's happening.
Oh, sure it is. It's just a statue.
We'll ask for forgiveness later. Look at that. That is a Packers helmet, and that is a bear urinating on it, and that is, in fact, on the chain of lakes, as they call it in Chicago, the White Trash Riviera. This is fantastic.
I've been in that area. There were T-shirts all over the place, and me and my brothers got them because we were children at the time and thought it was hilarious. Bear Whiz. You guys ever remember the Bear Whiz T-shirts? I think that's what that is.
Yeah, that's spectacular. Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, this feels like a game that will get Gardeck's juices and his hair flowing. He hasn't had a sacks since that Rams game when we were all talking about him.
Oh, really?
He gets to Jordan Love on Sunday. Okay. Have you been mentioning this on the show today? All right. Here's my X factor. We just mentioned him. Tristan Colon could fill a very big role on Sunday with Will Hernandez out. Colon hasn't allowed a pressure or sack in his admittedly limited playing time, and now he can focus on one position instead of having to rep it in 3 in practice. He's a veteran of the Ravens' run-heavy offense. I think that could theoretically at least help open up holes for James Conner. Tristan Colon could go a long way towards determining the Cardinals' success in this game, and that's what I got this week.
I would love to see Dennis Gardeck play well again. And again, if you're asking the Cardinal coaching staff, it's bigger than just the box score. I need a box score Dennis Gardeck game.
Me too.
Would you like that?
I would. Here's what I'm not going to entertain. All the people that wanted to proclaim, like, you're wrong, Johnny. Look at what he does what he always does. He puts up some good numbers early in the season, and then he wears down because they ask him to do too much. And it's not his fault. But they play he and Zaven Collins, and this, I can never remember his name, number 58. They're rushing him off the edge. It's like, yeah, they can't get any pressure off the edge. Their front four is very pass rush challenged.
Sure,
they just can't do it.
His percentage of snaps has dropped a little bit.
It has.
For those of you who like to track snap counts, I know there are people among us who like to do that. So
some like to write articles about it.
There you go.
Riveting stuff. Bo, you're up next, my guy.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get my players of the game, offensively, defensively. We're gonna start with the guy who's been the hottest hand, and try not to be distracted by my X factor early on, because I'm gonna start with my offensive star. If you're just listening on podcasts, you don't know what's going on just yet. But offensive star is Michael Wilson. He's been the most consistent in the passing game. I think that's where the 4-man front's going to. Who can expose them the most? It's going to be Michael Wilson out of the Z spot. He seems to have a nice rapport that he's developed over the last couple of games with Kyler Murray. Can continue that against the Packers in their secondary. Maybe get away if Jair Alexander is on Marv duty. Maybe Mike Wilson can take advantage of that. My defensive star, somebody I'm confident should be back out there, Garrett Williams. He missed last week with a groin. He was too sore to play on Sunday against the Niners, but the Cardinals were able to make up for that with Rabbit Taylor Demerson coming in and playing some nice snaps. And also you saw Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson have some very good games. If they can kind of parlay back-to-back good performances, I think their slot corner, Garrett Williams, should have an opportunity to get his hands on maybe his second interception this season. And then my X factor, good old DJ Dallas jump scare here with his picture, wide-eyed and ready to make some big plays as he did in the return game last week. Of course, he made contact with Moody, the place kicker for the Niners, and knocked him out of the contest. I'm not saying he's going to do that again, but the Packers have some of the worst special teams in the league, if not the worst special teams in the league. Can they make get some explosives in the return game? It's going to be on DJ Dallas and Greg Dortch to do so.
Wow, he could just take out another kicker, and that'd be just fine, too, because it altered the 49ers game plan.
No, we don't root for injuries, but
No.
Well,
DJ Dallas, does he
Johnny.
can he hunt one down?
some of us don't. Some of us just, not season enders, but your best players could have maybe avoid playing my team. I'd be into that. I like it. I like the DJ Dallas signing. It's grown on me. He looked good last week. Cardinals special teams outside of an egregious block kick been pretty good. Their punting was excellent last week. Obviously, the kicker did what he needed to do. The return game looks strong. Like, special teams are not an issue for this team. And so after watching, Seattle, what they did last night to keep it close with San Francisco, like, Cardinals, to get this offense where we want it to be, it might need a boost on kickoff return. I'm all in on that. I'm all in on these players this weekend. It feels like we are on the cusp of seeing a Trey McBride breakout game. He has been close, and then he had the setback with the concussion. He had 67 yards against the Rams, and then he was concussed against Detroit. He missed a week, and then last week against San Fran, 53 yards. I think this is Trey Day on Sunday. Javon Bulliard, who is stiff at strong safety, I think you'll have an opportunity to take advantage of him. I'm not buying the McKinney hype, he's feasted on bad quarterbacks. Watch what Trey McBride did to Minka Fitzpatrick. He abused him last year in Pittsburgh. I feel like safe, easy throws to 85 and then allow the coverage, just like the Rams did, to go over to number 85 and open things up for Marv one-on-one. Like, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. eventually is the best player on this team and on this offense. Trey McBride is your most reliable pass catcher. I would have him have 10 to 12 targets. I would make it a Trey game, number 85 over the middle. Defensively, Kazir White. Kazir White started this year slow. Last week, exceptional. His run defense specifically last week was off the charts. It was Jekyll and Hyde from the week before. It was fantastic against a physical Niner team that wants to run the ball. Can he meet Josh Jacobs in the hole? And then obviously he had the game-winning interception. I think he is just now, and he would never say it publicly, getting his bearings back from his season-ending injury last year. Coming back now, he's got over a quarter of the season under his belt, and I think we're just seeing the best of Kazir White. And then the X factor this week, Jalen Thompson. Get Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker at the line of scrimmage, making Jordan Love uncomfortable, tackling backs and receivers in the open field. Get Taylor Demerson some opportunities in the back seven to get his hands on the football, but Jalen Thompson, send him toward Jordan Love. Do it again. Blitz him every day and all day. Craig, I mentioned this before you jumped on the show. If they try to rush forward, they will lose. But if you have an opportunity to make Jordan Love have to throw off his back foot or throw across his body on the run, he will throw interceptions. It's not always the right time to blitz. This is the week to do it. 34 exceptional last week. Game-winning play with Kazir White defensively. I think they do it again. Let's get into, gentlemen, our game predictions ahead of this weekend. Shano, let's see it. Who does the boys of PHNX Cardinals like? Bo, I'll start with you.
I've got the Arizona Cardinals winning this football game 26-23. I've just, as I've been doing my research on this Packers team, I've been swayed. I am not convinced that they are, one of those teams that's just going to show up week in and week out and prove and kind of flex that they're the most talented team on the football field. Seen inconsistencies from especially the most important position in all of sports, the quarterback spot, Jordan Love. I think the Arizona Cardinals can come and kind of parlay last week's second half, rallying back past the 49ers into a big win on the road over the Packers here in week 6. I've got them winning 26-23.
All right, I'll jump in here. Bo, I think you referenced this in your tweet. How long has it been since the Cardinals won back-to-back games?
2021.
Okay. Just wanted to check that. Wanted to make sure of that before I do think this is going to be a competitive game. Johnny said it earlier. I think this goes into the fourth quarter. This is a game that can be won on a field goal at the end, but I don't see the Cardinals breaking that streak by winning 2 straight road games. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're still okay. Like Johnny noted, even if they lose this game, they can win at home and they'll be in okay position. This is going to be a tight one, but I think the Packers find a way to get this.
Shane, I'm going to defer to you.
He's going to read Damon's because Damon's been out.
Damon has the Cards winning a very, very close one, 28-27. How has Damon been on these? Has he been pretty even money. Or just like
right? And then he took some flack, and I think he's gone away from. He's just going to pick the Cardinals every time because he can't take the heat.
He can't take the heat.
He can't take the social media heat. Isn't that right, Johnny?
We post these predictions on social, and then Damon gets tagged. And people are not very nice to our sweet producer, and he's like, "Did you really have to post that?" And I'm like, "Bro, we gotta own it. We gotta eat it, right?"
Yeah,
that's sweet, man.
That's why Damon's out this week. Actually, he's in a quiet place this week, just trying to gather himself.
Okay, so before everybody freaks out, calm down, chat. I've got the Cardinals losing. Okay, we had a little bit of a
that was my bad, chat.
Shane,
is that a bad omen?
I don't know. This means Cardinals are going to come back and win this game. In all seriousness, chat, had it in our rundown that the Cardinals are going to lose. So is that honestly how I feel? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to lose or not. But I'm by hook or by crook supposed to pick them to lose because I am 0 for 10. Craig, you asked it earlier in the show. Through 5 weeks in a combination of hold or fold the line and game predictions, I have missed on every single pick. I'm 0 for 10. Earlier this week on hold or fold the line. Let me pull it up here. I have let me pull up my bet here. I have the Jaguars beating the Bears at plus 130 in London. Okay. So if the Bears win, I'm 0 for 11 in the early game. And if the Cardinals beat the Packers, I will be 0 for 12. So congratulations, chat. You've bullied me into not picking my team. I think the Cardinals are going to play well. I'm enthused by this team. But when you're 0 for 10, you have to succumb to peer pressure, and that's what I'm doing.
I don't like having the same prediction as you. I just don't.
Welcome to hell. Welcome to this hellscape. Welcome back to hell after what the Coyotes.
I mean, 0 for 10 is already so impressive.
It's so awesome.
It really is impressive.
Some would say it's maybe more impressive than what a lot of other people are doing on this show. Listen,
couldn't get through it.
Listen, in all seriousness, I think the Cardinals are going to play well. I think the offense, and I say this every week, is going to figure it out. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be fortunate enough to see a kind of defensive performance last week. If we do, then hats off to Nick Roush. He really is a future head coach in this league. But the offense, if the offense wets the bed again, and I know they produced at times last week. Yes, I will. I am sacrificing myself for this game. Absolutely. No one forget. We're going to have real questions, because I don't think anybody can sit. And Craig, I'll defer to you. When you think about the Cardinals last week offensively, they weren't overly great. They did just enough, right? They scored 24 points and they got 3 additional opportunities because of their defense.
Yes. So, I wrote about it. I mean, it was the defense that won that game last week, without question. That's what I wrote about in my column. That Kyler Murray talked about after that game, saying it didn't feel like the numbers were showing what we were doing because we felt like we were making plays. It's just like we needed to connect on that 1 or 2 more, but they didn't. The bottom line is they didn't, but the defense gave them opportunities. So I agree with you 100%. I thought we were laughing because I thought I was going to see that urinating bear again after you said wet the bed. So I was waiting for it. Should become a thing, I think.
I just feel like with this team against this Packer, as long as the moment isn't too big, you're all stereotypical Cardinal BS. Travel across country, play in an early game. You're at Lambeau Field. It's time to wet the bed. But I don't expect that from Jonathan Gannon. You went into Heinz Field last year and you bullied Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You went into Philadelphia and you overcame that adversity down 21-6. I think we're going to get a very competitive Cardinal team on Sunday. I really do.
You can make an argument that this team's been better on the road than they've been at home. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. So throw in the Commanders game, and I think it's a pretty strong argument, obviously. But
But yeah, they just need to put themselves in a position like Pittsburgh, where if they get a strong defensive performance early on, like the offense needs to have the ability to kind of put this team away. And I mean, I know like they've gotten out to first quarter leads, right? Or 5 consecutive games where they've scored a touchdown on the opening drive. But the offense needs to be more consistent. Now, even in the second half where they scored 3 consecutive drives, they were set up by a Brock Purdy interception that the offensive drive resulted in a -1 yard. They just happened to be in field goal position, and they put 3 points through. So you just got to have to find more scoring drives from this offense. And when they do and match that with a defensive performance, you've seen that bodes well for the Cardinals. It seems like it's a simple, calculation, or recipe, but the Arizona Cardinals have made it tough on themselves by the offense sputtering and going stagnant after drive 1. It just they have to find some consistency here. And maybe just with the allure, playing in historic Lambeau Field, it really felt, Greg, I don't know if you felt this way, but even out in the practice field this week, they've seemed to have a lot of extra juice, and that they're excited about this one going and playing against the Packers, a team that has high expectations and a great setting. And it'd be tough. It would be surprising to me if they came out flat.
We all silly like the mayor.